The new 1 Million Night Elixir versus 1 Million Elixir. Which do I think smells the best, and which of the two would I choose if I could only choose one? Let's compare these two in different ways and then go through what makes the best the best. So the new 1 Million Night Elixir, at least to my nose, opens up with a kick of spicy warmth and a bit of freshness. I don't think it's overly fresh in the opening, but you definitely get a bit of freshness, and you can definitely feel a bit of spiciness that to my nose is a bit warm. And right away you're definitely getting a bit of sweetness. Things are moving really fast with this one, and in just like a few minutes in comes a maple syrup-ish kind of sweetness together with vanilla. So the heart of it is basically that sweetness together with a bit of vanilla, and the whole thing is a bit spicy warm. And if you like sweet fragrances, then you most likely enjoy this. The drawdown is where everything comes together and the whole thing gets rounder, fuller, definitely warmer, definitely a lot sweeter, and I also feel the whole thing gets quite intensely ambery. I do not feel 1 Million Night Elixir is complex or overly sort of a nuanced in any way. It's a bit spicy warm, you have that maple syrup-ish sweetness going on, and it's definitely quite vanillic and also quite ambery. To my nose, 1 Million Night Elixir is definitely among the absolutely most sweet, or even the most sweet 1 million so far. And to my nose, it could almost be described like if you would take a bit of the vanilla from 1 Million Elixir and blend that with a bit of 1 Million Privé and add a big dose of that maple syrup-ish kind of sweetness. 1 Million Night Elixir doesn't have the fruitiness and florals of 1 Million Elixir, and it doesn't have that gorgeous hookah tobacco of 1 Million Privé. So those are some key differences between 1 Million Night Elixir and those two. The vibe of 1 Million Night Elixir is definitely something that I feel is quite sexy, flirty and playful. When it comes to compliments and mass appeal, I do feel that the new 1 Million Night Elixir is a modern sweet compliment getter. This is definitely an intensely sweet and modern scent that most people will find to be very likable. I'm getting pretty good performance from 1 Million Night Elixir, and on my skin it's definitely above average. When it comes to seasons, like always, wear whatever you want whenever it makes you happy, but I do feel this leans a bit more towards the colder months. So like primarily spring, fall and winter. So let's move on to 1 Million Elixir, and this has grown on me a lot since I bought it. And while I do feel these two probably share the same vanilla, I also feel they are quite different. And to my nose, you get a dose of soft apple and quite a prominent dose of osmanthus right away in the opening. So the opening is definitely quite fruity, but I also feel the opening is fruity in quite a smooth way. And just a few minutes later, you get a bit of rose together with what I feel is quite a prominent dose of vanilla that's got a bit of sweetness to it, and the whole thing starts to get softly woody. A quick one about the rose in 1 Million Elixir. To my nose, the rose is of the mellow kind. And this might sound weird, but the rose in 1 Million Elixir is definitely not a loud or overly sort of rosy or floral. I know that sounds weird, but if you compare the rose in here to some other rose prominent scents, you'll definitely notice a difference. This is rose made more mellow and mass appealing. The drawdown is where the vanilla keeps getting more and more intense. The whole thing is still a bit fruity, and you still have a bit of soft rose around it all. The drawdown is also where its woodiness starts to get more prominent. However, I do feel its woody side is of the quite soft and creamy kind. So to sum up 1 Million Elixir, this is basically a fruity, floral and vanillic scent with a soft dose of woodiness to it. 1 Million Elixir is definitely a bit sweet. However, I do not feel it's as sweet as 1 Million Night Elixir. There are some clear differences between 1 Million Elixir and previous releases. However, with that said, I do feel they basically took bits and pieces from other previous releases and created this. But with that said, I probably feel that 1 Million Elixir has a bit more uniqueness to it if you compare it, at least within the line, if you compare it to 1 Million Night Elixir. The vibe here is a bit different if I compare it to 1 Million Night Elixir, and to me it's actually a mix of something with a bit of elegance to it and something that's a bit sexy. I do feel there's quite a playful vibe to 1 Million Elixir. However, if you compare it to the original, I do feel it has a slightly more mature vibe to it. On my skin, the performance is definitely above average, but I do not feel its beast mode. When it comes to compliments and mass appeal, I know I said this numerous times before, but 1 Million Elixir is an extreme compliment getter. This is extremely mass appealing, and chances are you are going to land a compliment or two while wearing it. When it comes to usage, again, wear whatever you want whenever it makes you happy. However, to me, 1 Million Elixir is mostly a fragrance for spring, summer nights, fall and winter. And I do feel 1 Million Elixir is slightly more versatile if you compare it to 1 Million Night Elixir. It doesn't have that same intense kind of maple syrupish sort of a sweetness that 1 Million Night Elixir has, and it also doesn't have the spicy warmth that 1 Million Night Elixir has, and that to me makes it slightly more versatile. So who are these for? I do feel they are quite different. Both are quite vanillic, so they do have that in common. But if you usually enjoy a bit of spicy warmth in your fragrances, and if you think you would enjoy quite an intense dose of something that is maple syrup-ish together with a prominent dose of vanilla, then this is most likely something for you. Stay away if you don't like spicy warmth in your fragrances, if you usually don't enjoy fragrances with a bit of vanilla, and definitely if you don't like intensely sweet fragrances. This is in a way a more tricky one because it does have quite a prominent dose of fruitiness, it does have quite a noticeable dose of florals and a prominent dose of vanilla, and it does have quite a bit of sweetness to it, but I do feel its fruity side and its floral side with the rose is of the mass appealing kind. It's prominently fruity, but I do feel its fruitiness is not overly loud in any way, and of the very likable kind. And like I previously mentioned, this is definitely quite floral, but I do feel the rose in it is quite mellow and definitely very easy to enjoy. But in a nutshell, if you think you would enjoy quite a prominent dose of vanilla with quite a prominent dose of fruitiness and florals, then yeah, you most likely enjoy this. I do feel this blend is extremely likable, and based on all the comments I received about it, it does feel like at least most of you agree with me on that. But yeah, definitely stay away if you usually dislike any kind of sweetness, any kind of fruitiness, and any kind of florals. So which one is the best? So let me put it this way. I do feel that the new 1 Million Night Elixir definitely smells really good. But at the same time, I do feel it definitely lacks a bit of uniqueness. And I do feel that a lot of people will most likely agree with me on that when they put their nose to it, in that it does smell good, but that it also smells a bit like something they smelled before. And I remember when I bought 1 Million Elixir, I sort of complained that I did not feel it was insanely unique. But like I said before, it has grown on me, and nowadays I do feel it has a bit more uniqueness to it. And between these two, I do feel that the newer 1 Million Night Elixir definitely feels more familiar. So I do feel that between these two, 1 Million Elixir is a bit more unique. So this one wins when it comes to uniqueness. But again, like I previously said, it feels like both of these are basically done by taking bits and pieces from previous releases. And with all that said, if I could only keep one of these, I would definitely go with 1 Million Elixir. So this is what I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these two? And if you could only choose one of them, which of them do you think is the best? Let me know in the comments. Please drop a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my other fragrance reviews over there.